What's up, guys? Thank you for watching my YouTube channel. I am telling about for this coin. 5 cents 2002 United States of America, the 5-cent coin of the United States. Commonly referred to as the nickel, holds a rich historical and cultural legacy. The 2002 nickel is a modern representative of a long-standing series, bearing the image of President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his historic home, Monticello, on the reverse. Though it might seem like a simple everyday coin, the 2002 nickel represents a culmination of over 2 centuries of monetary evolution, political symbolism, and cultural identity in the United States. In this comprehensive history, we will explore the origins of the 5-cent coin, the life and legacy of Thomas Jefferson, the artistic designs of the coin, and the economic and political context surrounding the 2002 nickel. Early origins of the 5-cent coin in the USA. The half-dime 1792 to 1873 before the modern nickel. The earliest version of the U.S. 5-cent coin was the half-dime. First authorized by the Coinage Act of 1792. Made of silver, the half-dime was physically much smaller than today's nickel. The coin was introduced to meet the need for small change and facilitate commerce in the new American economy. These coins bore early American symbols like liberty and were minted with high silver content. They circulated for more than 80 years and played a vital role in early American trade and daily life. However, during and after the American Civil War, the rising price of silver and the disruption of coin circulation led to changes in coinage materials. B. Birth of the nickel. 1866 in 1866. After the Civil War, the U.S. Mint introduced the first nickel-based 5-cent coin, which replaced the silver half-dime. This new coin was larger and easier to handle and was made of a copper-nickel alloy, 75% copper, 25% nickel. This marked the beginning of what we now recognize as the nickel. It was known as the shield nickel, named after its reverse design. The change was largely due to industrial and political interests. Industrialist Joseph Wharton, who controlled the U.S. nickel supply, lobbied for the coin's production. Thus, economic motivations and industrial influence helped shape the course of American coinage. Jefferson nickel. Introduction and design. A. Introduction in 1938. The Jefferson nickel, the specific design still in use in 2002, was introduced. In 1938, replacing the popular Buffalo nickel, 1913 to 1938, the new design was the result of a public competition authorized by the Treasury and the Mint. The winning design was created by Felix Schlag, a German-American sculptor. His design prominently featured obverse, a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, third President of the United States, author of the Declaration of Independence, and founder of the University of Virginia. Reverse, the image of Jefferson's neoclassical estate in Virginia. Symbolizing his ideals and accomplishments, Schlag's initial Monticello design was modified before release, and the final version has remained iconic for decades. B. Artistic and symbolic elements. Thomas Jefferson represents Enlightenment ideals, democracy, and intellectual achievement. Monticello reflects neoclassical architecture and the values of self-sufficiency, reason, and liberty. The Jefferson nickel served not just as currency but as a miniature piece of American heritage. Features of the 2002 Jefferson nickel. The 2002 5-cent coin continued the long-standing Jefferson Monticello design with few major changes since 1938. Here's a detailed look at its features. A. Obverse front portrait. Thomas Jefferson. Facing left. Inscriptions, "In God We Trust," left, "Liberty," right in cursive, and the year 2002. Mint mark, usually P for Philadelphia or D for Denver. Located to the right of Jefferson's portrait. B. Reverse back design. Jefferson's estate. Centered with its dome visible. Inscriptions, E pluribus unum, above Monticello, below the image. 5 cents and United States of America. C. Composition and dimensions. Composition, 75% copper, 25% nickel weight, 5 grams diameter, 21.2 millimeters edge. Plain this simple, yet enduring design continued to honor Jefferson's legacy and remained relatively unchanged until the mid-2000s. 2002 nickel in historical context. A. Pre-redesign period. The 2002 Jefferson nickel came just before a major redesign. From 2004 to 2006, the Westward Journey Nickel Series was launched to celebrate the bicentennials of the Louisiana Purchase 1803 and the Lewis and Clark Expedition 1804 to 1806. These events were closely associated with Jefferson's presidency. Thus, the 2002 nickel can be seen as the final version of the classic Jefferson Monticello design before this temporary transformation. It represents the last moment of continuity before a dramatic design shift occurred in the following years. B. Economic environment in 2002. The United States was recovering from the dot-com crash and entering the early stages of the war on terror following the events. of September 11, 2001, the national mood was cautious yet resilient. In such times, traditional symbols like Jefferson and Monticello on coins served as unifying, familiar images. Coinage continued to be important for everyday transactions. Though the use of cash was slowly beginning to decline with the rise of digital payment methods, minting and circulation in 2002, the U.S. Mint produced millions of 5-cent coins for circulation. These were primarily struck at Philadelphia Mint P, Mint Mark Denver, Mint D, Mint Mark. There were no significant rare varieties or errors in the 2002 issue, which makes it a common and accessible coin for both circulation and collection. Collectors often keep uncirculated or proofed versions from U.S. Mint sets, and many see the 2002 nickel as an affordable and essential piece in any modern U.S. coin collection. Cultural and numismatic significance. A. Jefferson's enduring legacy. Thomas Jefferson's inclusion on the 5-cent coin since 1938 reflects his long-standing place in the American pantheon. As the author of the Declaration of Independence and a visionary leader, Jefferson symbolizes many American ideals: liberty, education, self-governance, and innovation. His image on the nickel is not just artistic, it's political and cultural. It communicates a message of enduring Republican values and American historical continuity. B. The nickel in daily life. Though inflation has diminished the purchasing power of 5 cents, the nickel remains an essential part of U.S. coinage. It is commonly used in vending machines, parking meters, and making change. The 2002 nickel continued to serve this utilitarian function. The nickel also holds a special place in numismatics due to its iconic designs and the notable figures it honors. From Jefferson to Native Americans, as seen in later versions, transition. After 2002, the 2002 nickel marks the end of an era, just before the U.S. Mint introduced the Westward Journey series. In 2004, two new designs, the piece metal reverse and the keelboat. 2005, new reverse designs and a redesigned obverse showing a forward-facing Jefferson. 2006, return of Monticello, but with a modernized portrait of Jefferson. Thus, 2002 is considered by collectors to be the last classic Jefferson nickel before the major redesigns that updated both design and portrait style, collectability and value. While the 2002 nickel is not rare or especially valuable in circulated condition, it holds interest for several reasons. As a transition piece, the final year before the Westward Journey redesign, in high-grade condition, MS65 and above, it can fetch modest premiums from collectors. Proof versions, struck in limited numbers for collectors, with sharper details and mirror-like finishes. The coin is affordable and commonly found, making it a good entry point for new collectors. Conclusion: the 2002 United States 5-cent coin, or Jefferson nickel, represents more than just 5 cents of currency. It is a miniature tribute to one of the most influential founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson, and his lasting contributions to the American identity. From its roots in the post-Civil War period to its enduring presence in early 21st century pockets, the nickel has been a steady part of American monetary life. The 2002 issue, specifically, sits at a crossroads marking the final year of a design that endured for 64 years and the beginning of a new phase of artistic and historical reflection in U.S. coinage. For numismatists, historians, and everyday Americans alike, the 2002 nickel is both a practical object and a symbol of history, continuity, and the values enshrined in the American spirit. The 2002 issue, specifically, sits at a crossroads marking the final year of a design that endured for 64 years and the beginning of a new phase of artistic and historical reflection in U.S. coinage. For new historians and everyday Americans alike, the 2002 nickel is both a practical object and a symbol of history, continuity, and the values enshrined in the American spirit. The 2002 issue, specifically, sits at a crossroads marking the final year of a design that endured for 64 years and the beginning of a new phase of artistic and historical reflection in U.S. coinage. For new historians and everyday Americans alike, the 2002 nickel is both a practical object and a symbol of history, continuity, and the values enshrined in the American spirit. The 2002 issue, specifically, sits at a crossroads marking the final year of a design that endured for 64 years and the beginning of a new phase of artistic and historical reflection in U.S. coinage. For new historians and everyday Americans alike, the 2002 nickel is both a practical object and a symbol of history, continuity, and the values enshrined in the American spirit. The 2002 issue, specifically, sits at a crossroads marking the final year of a design that endured for 64 years and the beginning of a new phase of artistic and historical reflection in U.S. coinage. For numismatists, historians, and everyday Americans alike, the 2002 nickel is both a practical object and a symbol of history, continuity, and the values enshrined in the American spirit.